Last year in 200, I made a pop-up book using the laser cutters to cut kind of really intricate patterns and things like that out of paper. And that was really exciting to see that technology in action, especially with something so delicate as paper. It was really fun to figure out exactly the ways that I could get that big machinery that was so powerful to work with this like really delicate thing to make these really intricate patterns.
So I'm working with a professor on surface design for optimized tissue culturing, and it's really interesting. And we're using console modeling and SolidWorks, so a lot of software, and I hope to be able to integrate some of what I learned during my internship with spatial dynamics and how because my internship was in epidemiology, sort of, so I'm hoping to be able to integrate that into the project that I'm doing as far as biointerfaces, biosurfaces goes. And my professor that I'm working for is really excited about the epidemiology experience that I have because she thinks that it'll help a lot as far as population dynamics on the surfaces that we design.
Probably my heartbeat sensor dress, which was probably one of my favorite projects I've done so far. That wasn't really for anybody but myself, but it was definitely a really fun, enjoyable project that I had this crazy idea of displaying your heartbeat through veins running down on a dress that would light up with a heartbeat sensor. And I thought that was really cool and was like, can I actually do this? And I ended up, completing it, and that was really meaningful.
I really like Arduinos, and Raspberry Pis are really cool as well, and it's not as much complete software like processing or just making a program that does something, but being able to program a Raspberry Pi to have an emulator for games or have your wall turn into a Tetris game. In the summer, I had a kind of a little Arduino workshop with her and a couple other computer science students. We were all being taught by a graduate student, and it was really fun. We learned how to solder. We were able to connect the Arduinos through a radio without even using internet. Like, we didn't need internet, and we were able to send messages to each other based on a port that we were connected to, and it was really cool to be able to see the different applications.
I think my favorite project's my capstone project that I'm working on right now. We're working with MDI Biological Laboratory. We're making a cell scratcher. So basically, right now this researcher is experimenting on wound healing. So she basically grows a culture of cells in a petri dish, scratches through the cells and watches how they close the gap, and puts different things in it to experiment with how to basically facilitate healing. And it's been really cool to get to learn about that because we've got the engineering aspect of we're building this, device that's going to be doing this, but it also has to be able to interface with cells and, not mess up her experiment. So that was kind of cool to get to really see how science and engineering can go together to make this product that will hopefully actually get used in a laboratory.
My thesis or my dissertation work is basically around trying to develop indoor scene descriptions, better natural language indoor scene descriptions. And the reason why that's important is that often people who are blind or low vision want to access a scene description, and a lot of the image captioning systems right now are not particularly great in terms of the spatial relations of the different objects in the scene. And the reason why that's important is because if you can't see a scene but you have to navigate around it, or you have to understand what's in this environment, it's important to know how everything is spatially related to other things. So your phone can navigate you around outside really easily. But if you asked it to navigate you around in an indoor environment, it's not really accessible.
My favorite projects aren't necessarily the ones that succeeded, but some of the ones that were kind of really defining for me, I guess. I really liked working on the HSA study at the lab, which was the HSA Haptic Scene Access Grant or Haptic Scene Access Project, which was a way for people to find objects indoors without vision. So using this app that would detect their location and rotation and tell them what objects were ahead of them, and so they could locate them in a room. And that was interesting for me because it was kind of my first foray into Unity for a specific application and not just a game or a demo. And it was also the first time I was involved in research, because I didn't start out on the project being sort of on the research side. I was on the Unity development side, which didn't really make any sense because I didn't know it at the time. And I kind of had to learn along the way. And then also as they started discussing sort of like the nitty-gritty of how the protocol was going to work out and stuff, I realized that, you know, I kind of had opinions on this, and I could see how it was going to play out and wanted to be part of the discussion of how we're going to quantify the data and how we're going to collect it, and, you know, what's going to be recorded by the computer, and how can we streamline this study and make sure that we're getting the variables that we want.